This is the Elgato Facecam 4K. We're doing a review of the webcam. I've been using this for a few months at this point in time, daily for my streams and any sort of other video work that I need a webcam for. So we're going to be diving in and talking about this product from Elgato. Be sure to like the video. Subscribing is great as well. So this is really cool. I'm coming for context from a Razer webcam. It was 1080p, 60 FPS. I've been looking for something a little fancier for a while, and this is only, I believe, the second 4K 60 webcam on the market. There's not many of these, and that makes this kind of special. The other one is also from Elgato, which is like a Facecam Pro, I guess, but I'm not really fully familiar with that one, as this was the first time I actually heard of it, and I was like, oh wow, can I check this out? And they're like, yep, and then I've been using it daily since on my streams and everything like that, and now is the time to talk about it. As you can see, we're using it, so this is captured all on, well, it's not captured, we're using OBS to capture part of the screen, but we're showing this, right? We're showing it as if you can see what it looks like here through their specific Elgato camera hub, which is quite interesting. So yeah, this is a 4K 60 FPS webcam, which allows you to see all of the detailed imperfections of my skin and face, and the backdrop of this majestic green screen and everything like that, like I normally would be. And of course the Secret Lab creeper chair. So, and we have it set to a 4K 60 FPS preview format, so you can actually see the fluidity of my movements within the webcam. Now, if you do want HDR, you do have to go to 4K 30 FPS to support HDR, which seems to be a very common thing across capture devices. It's just the extra demand is quite a bit. So this is a USB-C plug-in. You get a pretty generous length of cord, which is quite important. And then, of course, you get a webcam of a fairly decent size. Now, this is a much thicker webcam than I am used to, but it makes sense because it is a 4K webcam. You still get a little bit of a spot for which you can mount it down. And it is a bit larger, which is a bit of a, taking up space in my viewing point when I'm streaming. But, and it does run slightly warm, but not too hot. It makes sense because it's 4K 60, but it's decent sized. Hopefully over time it maybe gets a little smaller, a little bit more boxier. But as far as being one of the early 4K 60 cameras, I actually think it's a decent sized thing. It can mount it very easily. I should also mention this does not come with a microphone. It really doesn't need to. I've had numerous webcams over the years that come with microphones. The quality's terrible. If you are buying a 4K 60 face cam thing, you're not. I'd like to think that you're probably not going to be using a built-in microphone or wanting one with that, and you'll have your own microphone to be able to do that. So it really isn't needed, but I thought it was something to mention in case that does matter to you. Now, with what you're seeing here, this is with my optimized settings, and these settings kind of carry forward through the device across your ecosystem. So I set everything up here, and then I go into OBS, and from there it's got my settings for lighting and visuals and everything like that. Now, the camera does have a fixed focal perspective. There's not like auto zooming and everything like that. So it does at times give the appearance of a slight bit of a blur, but it seems to look fine throughout my streams and videos and everything like that. But it does look blurrier when it's like by itself here in the camera studio, which I think is interesting. But it is a pretty crisp, uncompressed, with the right setting, 4K 60 FPS webcam. Now, this does have a 4 aperture, so it is very. It struggles with lighting to a degree. I do wish they would have went a little bit more advanced with that because this was very dark. Initially, I thought this was actually unusable until I downloaded this hub and started playing with the settings on the side here. Your exposure levels and your white balancing and everything like that. I had to adjust this quite a bit, and you can kind of scroll upwards too, and you can see the input at the top over there and the focal and everything. So I had to sort of adjust things a little bit. Like I'm using auto exposure, but we can turn that off too, and you can just kind of see where did I go? I'm totally gone. It definitely does. Like when I first had it, it was like dark, super dark, which wasn't good because it wasn't usable. And then with these adjustments, I look a lot more well lit and a lot more natural. And then, of course, if you do a stream, on top of that, you have the green screen effect going on. And the lighting with the camera struggling a bit with the lighting, it makes the green screen effect a little bit harder to use, which can be a little annoying. But at the end of the day, you do get at least I get a much more quality experience. So if I'm using this for something like, say I wanted to do a Lego stream build, or I wanted to show off physical products or something like that, this webcam it's much better for that. It's just there are some drawbacks to what it offers, and I just wanted to make that known in case you were taking a look at this and trying to get an idea of things and whether or not it's a good product for you. And I would say from a perspective of if you want a very high fidelity fluid camera, this is by far the best option, I believe, available there. Again, not familiar really with their Facecam Pro model. I know it has a slightly different settings, so you might find that one to be better for what you're doing. But as far as my tasks, streaming, video, and stuff like that, this is a very good webcam for that. Of course, there are negatives to it, as you may look at that. It is a little larger. It does have, struggle with the low lighting. It is quite dark unless you get settings all set up like this. And even then, I don't really believe it's true to the lighting of the room either, just as far as actually really perfectly capturing that. It does have the ability for you to change the lens, 49mm. You can actually swap out lenses, which is a first for webcams, as far as I'm aware. It does have a good sized USB-C plug-in, so if you have slots for that, you're good to go. If you have to use legacy USB, you will lose the 4K 60 and have to use a lower resolution setting. But for that, it's pretty good. It's got a good amount of slack to it, a good amount of rope. You can move the webcam around easily. You can mount it on things if you want. You can customize the settings and adjust everything within this suite on that side right there. And there's all kinds of different things you can do with it too. If you have a RTX card, you can use it for the scrubbing of the chair or the backdrop. Although I find that kind of was a little bit too intense and it sort of crashed my OBS, but it's something you can do. And then you can change things like the dynamic range and go to standard or wide. Usually we have the option for high. I don't know why that's off right now. Maybe it's because of the automatic exposure settings. But you can adjust all of these different things and change your FOV option. It is a 90 FOV fixed, but you can kind of zoom in, and then there's face tracking if you want to enable that, if you have the setting for it. And then there's different contrast settings, saturation settings, numerous things in here. And like I said, the reason I'm really showing off all of this stuff is because this stuff will transfer to when you're in other applications in that. And that's very important for, adjusting things. And then the white balance here. And then you could choose if you want to have different levels of white balance going on, and you can really sort of adjust things to be whatever you sort of need. But I think automatic is probably the best setting you're going to get. And then you can have different noise reduction, high or low. And that's going to fine-tune things further. And I'm probably going to adjust this even more down the road as I need to, perfectly get settings for whatever thing I'm doing with my room or with my setup or with my recording, which is quite important. So I hope this kind of comprehensively covered everything. I mean, we went over it. 4K 60. Stunning picture. Yeah. DSLR style control is DSLR-like. Lens filter threads, cinematic effects, and just kind of the settings on here. So that's all the features. 90 fixed, uncompressed video. Yeah, I mean that's basically all of the settings and everything like that. So I quite like it. Oh, and it's supposed to work with the deck compatible, so the Stream Deck. If you do that, I don't have that. So I'm not set up for that, but that's something that it's supposed to be set up for. So anyways, it's been a pretty good webcam. I'm happy with it. Hopefully in a further iteration they do make it smaller. I'd like a little bit more of a well-lit webcam. I don't think it needs a microphone, so I don't have any issue with that. The fixed angle is okay, it works, it is what it is. But I would say mostly at the end of the day, I like having a 4K 60 webcam. I like the quality that it provides. I like the high resolution. I love the fluidity that you get with this sort of a thing. It's a pretty good webcam. I would give it a 7.5 out of 10. If there is a written review, you can read that in the description below. But that's basically all I have for this thing. I think I covered all of the key points. If you have questions and stuff, let me know. But it's pretty easy. You plug it in, it works well. Unlike my old webcam, it doesn't stutter. It's a higher resolution. It's a smooth frame rate. It works well. It just, yeah, with the settings too, you get decent lighting. You look okay. You look fine. Could have a bit more ability to have light, and I think that would help a bit more with stuff. So hopefully in a further iteration they do improve upon that, but I am very happy with the webcam today, and it is something I would say I would recommend if you are into more serious content creation and looking for something like this.